A fault that occurs in the end zone of a transmission line normally will not be fully cleared until the time delay of the Zone 2 protection element has expired. The DUTT scheme, which stands for the Direct Underreaching Transfer Trip Scheme, is used to reduce the amount of time needed to wait before clearing a fault that occurs in this end zone of a transmission line. As for all pilot schemes, there must be a communication channel set up between the distance relays at each end of the line. This communication channel can be one of many different configurations. The communication channel may have the ability to only send one bit of data back and forth between the relays, such as a power line carrier communication link, or may be able to send multiple pieces of data back and forth between the two relays, such as a fiber optic or microwave link. First, each of the relays must also have all of its 4 zones of protection set up to operate as a standard stepped distance application. For the examples we will be using in this section, we will label the 2 distance relays that are protecting the transmission line in the following way. The distance relay that is located on the left side of the transmission line will be called the local relay. The distance relay that is located on the right side of the transmission line will be called the remote relay. When a fault occurs in the middle of the transmission line using the DUTT scheme, or both zone 1s of the local and the remote relays, the relays will trip and clear the fault instantly at both ends of the line. This is similar to the stepped distance scheme. Faults that occur in the local relay's end zone of the transmission line will be cleared at the remote end of the line instantly by the zone 1 element of the remote relay. The breaker at the local end of the line would normally not trip until the timer of zone 2 had expired. Using the DUTT scheme, if a fault occurred in the transmission line end zone, the remote relay that identified the fault in its zone 1 will immediately trip the breaker on its side of the line. Upon detecting this fault in its zone 1, the remote D60 will also immediately send a signal, which is known as a key, over the communication channel to the local relay located at the other end of the line. This is where the term underreaching came from, because the keying signal is initiated by identifying a fault within the relay's underreaching zone 1. As soon as the local relay receives the DUTT key from the remote relay, it will immediately trip its breaker, thus clearing the fault on the transmission line. The important thing to note with this scheme is that the local relay will trip as soon as it gets a transfer trip signal from the remote relay without requiring any indication of a fault within its own zones of protection, hence the term direct transfer trip. The PUT